All right, let's get going. Before we start with the questions, let's go over the terminology that's being used in the testing itself. So Team A and Team B in the test questions will be referred simply as A or B. A is offense, B is defense. When you see A-45, that refers to the ball is on A's 45. In other words, they're 5 yards short of the midfield stripe. They're 55 yards away from the goal line. And then, of course, B45 is the same thing. When you see A40 with no dash, that refers to a player. So that would be offensive player number 40, and B40 would be defensive player number 40. When you see this type of nomenclature, that means it's A's ball, the offense's ball, second down, 6 yards to go at B's 23. So the B23, A is 23 yards away from scoring a touchdown. A touchdown. Kicking and receiving, when we're in punt or when we're in kick situations, the players referred to as K and R. So the yard line where the kick occurs would be the K45, and the yard line where something happens with the receiving team, whether it's a reception, whether it's where they caught it or they were downed, that's R-45. And then, of course, the K65 is the kicking team player number 65, receiving team player number 65. And the nomenclature is the same as above. It just says so it's K's ball, kicking team's ball, offense, 4th and 12 at the R45. So they're 45 yards away from the goal line. I'm not going to read all these. Refer back to this key when you have a question. When you're not sure what these abbreviations mean. Most of them are pretty self-explanatory. Okay, let's get to the first question. All right, question number 1. A, that's the offense. 3rd and 17 from the A10. So that means they're 90 yards away from the goal line. To avoid an official, B57, so that's the defensive player, goes out of bounds at the A15. B57 returns inbounds at the A20 and tackles the runner at the A23. And the rule reference is 9-6-2. Okay, so let's take a look at 9-6-2. That's over here. And it says, no player shall intentionally go out of bounds during the down and return to the field, intentionally touch the ball, influence the play, or otherwise participate. So, generally speaking, unless a player is pushed out of bounds, he cannot legally go out of bounds and then come back in or otherwise participate. For instance, he could stand out of bounds and reach up and touch a pass, right? Still be out of bounds, but that would be influencing the play or intentionally touching the ball. So he is not allowed to return to the field. Now, you can see by the answers, first answer, legal play, no. Now the question is, where's the enforcement spot? Do we enforce it from where he went out of bounds, where he came back on the field, or where the play ended? Now, we haven't talked about penalty enforcement, but there are 2 types of plays. There's a loose ball play, which includes passes and kicks, and a running play, which just basically is anything that isn't a pass or a kick. And this is definitely a running play. And the enforcement spot for a running play is always the end of the run. So in this case, the run ended at the A23. We're going to penalize an additional 15 yards from the A23, so it's going to be A's ball on their own 38-yard line. All right, question number 2. Towels must be one solid color with no more than one visible manufacturer's logo that does not exceed 2 1/4 inches in any dimension. The towel can be no less than 4 inches in width and 12 inches in length, and no greater than 12 inches in width and 36 inches in length. So here's the rule. Now, guys, I don't want you to get crazy about towels, okay? But the thing that we don't want to see are these little strips that are like 1 inch wide, and they're banded, and they're just, I don't know what they are. There's some sort of reward or whatever. Those are not legal, okay? This answer is false simply because the towel can be no less than 18 inches in length, right there, and it can be no greater than 18 inches in width. Now, again, don't get too picky. The one other point that you want to make about towels is if anybody's wearing a towel, then all the players must wear the same color towel, okay? Again, don't get too fine on this, you new guys. If it's reasonable, then let it go. But this shouldn't be an adornment. It should be a useful tool for either cleaning their hands or cleaning the ball off. All right. So the answer to this one is false, and we're moving on. Okay. Question number 3. Team A has a big screen monitor on its sideline with the screen facing away from the field. The monitor is used by sideline team members and coaches to analyze plays. And the rule reference is 153C2. Well, 153 deals with illegal equipment, and I would really encourage you to spend some time, basically getting to know this rule. There's a lot of things that are illegal. So if we come down all the way down to 153, where is it? 153. There we go. So see the following other illegal equipment: electronic communication devices used to communicate with the player except during an outside 9-yard mark conference, including electronic signage to signal plays or information from the sideline. Oh, well, kind of sounds like maybe this is illegal. Well, here's some nuance. The first thing is a player. Okay, a player is one of the 11 team members on the field. If you're not on the field, you are not a player. So this restriction doesn't apply to non-players. And if you're wondering what this 9-yard mark conference is, well, let's take a look and find out if it's defined in the rule book, right? 9-yard mark conference. Well, it turns out that there is a definition for what a 9-yard mark is. Before I started officiating football, I'd never heard of a 9-yard mark, but it's actually used a lot in the rule book, so understand what it is. And it's basically a line that, well, you read it, 12 inches in length, 4 inches in width, located 9 yards from the sideline. The 9-yard mark shall be marked so that at least each successive 10-yard line bisects the 9-yard marks. So let's take a closer look at that diagram that we saw just to the right of our explanation. This bottom picture shows you the 9-yard marks, and I believe this is every 5 yards. The minimum requirement is every 10 yards. Okay, and that's not to be confused with the hash marks, which are right here. The 9-yard marks also align with the tops of the numbers. So you often hear the referee say, get them below the numbers. They can't go beyond the top of the numbers if there's more than one coach or if they want to take players with them. So what we're saying is that a team timeout, what's known as a conference, if it's held below that mark, then electronic devices can be used, iPads, headsets, all that stuff, and there can be multiple coaches on the field. If it's inside that 9-yard mark, they can't use electronic equipment, and there can only be one coach on the field. All right, so back to the question. So This monitor is being used by team members and coaches to analyze plays, so it is indeed legal. The reason that it's legal is because these guys are not players. So you'll see this oftentimes during the game. The defense, if they come off the field, they'll be brought over to a monitor and shown previous plays, coached right up. That's fine. There's nothing illegal about it. Okay? Players can only use those devices during a team conference, a team timeout, and while they are below the 9-yard marks. All right, move on. Okay, question number 4. If worn, play cards must be worn on the wrist, arm, or attached to the belt. And the rule reference is back to 153C. That's that other illegal equipment. Number 8, play cards not worn on the wrist or arm. So the only place a play card can be worn, wrist or arm. You're going to see players come out with these play cards on their belts. That used to be legal. It's not illegal. Simply tell them to take it off and either throw it to the sideline. They can put it on their arm or send them off the field. One of the two. You'll have to stay out for a play. All right. That was an easy one. Move on. Okay. Question number 5. Sticking with our Marathon 153C discussion. If worn, eye shade must be a solid stroke under each eye. That's number 1. Number 2, not contain words, numbers, or logos within the eye shade. Number 3, be located and within the width of the eye socket. And number 4, not extend below the cheekbone. So eye shade is covered in the illegal equipment category. So by definition, eye shade is illegal when it's not a solid stroke or if it includes words, numbers, logos, or other symbols within the eye shade. So that would seem to mean that it's only A and B, right? But how do we mark that? Because that's not a choice. Well, this is our first introduction into the world of the casebook. The casebook is just as much of a rule book as the rule book. So if we go down to the casebook, we see that eye shade, as detailed in 153C3, which is the rule we just looked at, or that extends outside the eye socket or below the cheekbone. So here it is, the casebook adding additional criteria to the rule. So we got to know this. And so the answer is B, all of the above. And guys, with the eye shade thing, again, this is not something we want to get too fine. If the eye shade goes a little beyond their eye socket, but it looks like, the intent was just to simply smear on a one stroke of eye shade, let it go. On the other hand, if it's war paint, if they're drawing, big symbols or, having it run down the side of their face like a warrior, we're not going to let that happen. So during pregame, you want to inspect all the players. If you see it before the pregame, tell them to get it off. If you catch it during the game, send them off for the single play. Tell the coach that eye shade's illegal and have them clean it up. All right, let's move on. Question number 6. A between the 9-yard marks conference is one coach on the field to confer with no more than 11 players at his team's huddle between the 9-yard marks. Now, if we go over to 262B, outside 9-yard mark conference, between 9-yard mark conference, one coach on the field to confer with no more than 11 players at his team's huddle between the 9-yard marks. So, why is this significant? A lot of times coaches want to have timeouts and they want to walk above the numbers, and you can't let that happen. You tell the coaches, Coach, if you want multiple coaches on the field, It has to be below the numbers. And if they want to bring, players from the sideline into the conference, and they often do, that's not allowed inside the 9-yard marks. That has to be outside the 9-yard marks. And just a little caveat here. For years, this was called a between the hash marks conference. So you're still going to hear that term used by guys that have been around for a while. But just understand it's the same thing, okay? So 9-yard mark, hash marks, they're used interchangeably. But apply the rule as it's written in 262B here. All right, let's move on. Okay, question number 7. A, 3rd and 5 at the B35. On a sweep, player A67 contacts defensive player B55's hands below B55's waist. The block continues into B55's body. Is this a legal play, or is it an illegal block below the waist? Now, these can be tough because hands, can be anywhere, right? But let's see what the rule reference is. 237. Rule 2, Section 3 is the definition of blocking. So you definitely want to spend some time on this rule because there's a lot of blocking in football. So we go down to 7. Blocking below the waist is making initial contact below the waist from the front or side against an opponent other than the runner. So the runner can always be contacted below the waist, right? Contact with an opponent's hands below the waist that continues into the body below the waist is considered blocking below the waist. Blocking below the waist applies only when the opponent has one or both feet on the ground. So obviously, what they're saying that last sentence is if a player is airborne and is hit below the waist, it is not blocking below the waist. That's not germane to our question here, but just keep that in mind. So if we go back to the question, it is an illegal block below the waist. It is a foul, and we want to call that. All right, let's move on. Okay, question number 9. An outside the 9-yard marks conference must occur between the 25-yard lines in an 11-man game. So let's take a look at the rule 262A. Outside the 9-yard mark conference, so that's they're below the numbers, right? One or more team members and one or more coaches directly in front of the team box within 9 yards of the sideline. So the directly in front of the team box is the key there. The team box is comprised of an area that starts at one 25-yard line, ends at the other 25-yard line. So the answer to this question is true. Okay, question number 10. A 3rd and 24 at the A30. A83 attempts to catch a legal forward pass at the A37. The pass is too high and has flown over his head. B92, the defender, uses his shoulder to forcibly contact airborne A83 in his back. Is that a legal play or is that a personal foul? Now, guys, this is a great question, actually. I gotta get the rules reference there. All right, I've got it. So, the first thing you have to understand here is that a receiver in the act of catching the ball or just having missed the ball is considered a defenseless player. So if we go to 232, which I'm 99% sure is the definition of a defenseless player, players and designations. Go down to number 16 here. And we've got a defenseless player. Now, again, this is one of those definitions you definitely want to know every one of these, okay? So, we have defensive players include a passer. Okay, that's somebody who's in the act of throwing the ball. Doesn't say a quarterback, it says a passer. Okay, so anybody that can legally possess the ball can throw the ball. A receiver attempting to catch a pass who has not had time to clearly become a runner. Okay, so this is the situation we have here, right? So the contact with the shoulder in the middle of the back would be considered excessive, and it would be a personal foul. Let's take a look at the rule for that 943 rule that he references. Okay, so no player or non-player shall, and this is another. This is all the personal fouls. Okay, and G says make any contact with an opponent, including a defenseless player, which is deemed unnecessary or excessive and which incites roughness. So this is the unnecessary roughness rule, and this rule has been modified over the last few seasons, and we're going to see lots of film on this, but we want to take the unnecessary roughness, especially against defensive players, out of the game. Don't be afraid to flag this. Okay, if the defender had wrapped him up, tackled him, got his, and he had his helmet outside the frame of the receiver, no problem. Okay, but he didn't do that, right? The question states that he uses his shoulder to forcibly contact him in his back. That's not happening. All right, so that's a personal foul. Answer is B. Okay, let's get this going again. This is the next day. I did those first 10 questions. It took me about 4 hours, and I was burnt out. Had to play a little Call of Duty to calm down. Anyway, let's go on to question number 11. A, second and goal at the B5. A3 sweeps to the right end. At the B2, A3 dives and crosses the goal line airborne, but lands out of bounds beyond the goal line. He continues to hold the ball as the ball crosses the goal line extended. Is this a touchdown? Or is it A, third and goal, where the ball broke the sideline plane prior to crossing the goal line extended? Now, goal line extended is a complicated concept. Matt Sumstein has just produced a fantastic video on this subject, and I will be sharing that with you. But let's go to the rule book. So he references where is it? 226.3. Let's look at that. The goal line is a vertical plane which separates the field of play from the end zone. Now, vertical plane, guys, you new guys, think of it as a waterfall. And the waterfall starts right at that front edge of the goal line. If the ball gets wet, it's a touchdown. Okay? Doesn't matter. If the ball gets wet before the runner's down, it's a touchdown. Doesn't matter if it's pushed back, whatever. Okay. When related to a live ball in a runner's possession, touching inbounds, that's important. While the ball is over the out of bounds area, the goal line includes the extension beyond the sideline. So we see the goal line extension right here in this picture. Here's the pylon, and there's the goal line extended. Now notice he is inbounds, touching inbounds, while the ball will cross the goal line extended. Now, in this question, he is not he's not touching the ground. So let's read this. A touchdown is scored even though the ball has not penetrated the goal line inside the sideline. Since the runner is touching inbounds when the ball breaks the plane of the goal line extended, it is a touchdown. However, if the runner is not touching inbounds when the ball breaks the plane of the goal line extended, it's not a touchdown, and the ball is spotted where it broke the sideline plane. Okay, so that second part is what we have here. And you flank officials, this is one of the toughest calls we make. And this is, we want to be standing back 6 feet away from that pylon and really watching, when the ball crosses the goal line or the goal line extended and what the runner's position is. And we have to decide if he was airborne and landed out of bounds, where did that ball cross the sideline? That's where we're going to place the ball. All right? So the answer here is B, a 3rd and goal where the ball broke the sideline plane prior to crossing the goal line extended. Again, I know this is complicated, and I think this new video that Matt just produced is really going to help a lot of you understand this. Okay, let's move on. Okay, question number 12. A, 3rd and goal at the B7. Airborne receiver A89 possesses a legal forward pass beyond the plane of B's goal line. B12, the defender, contacts A89, causing A89 to land on his knee in possession of the ball at the B3. Do we have it A, 4th and goal at the B3, or do we have a touchdown? So the rule reference here is 215-2, and it says, when an airborne player makes a catch, forward progress is the furthest point of advancement after he possesses the ball if contacted by a defender. And this is really important, not just for touchdowns, guys, first downs as well. This happens a lot. Not a lot, but it happens. Okay, so we've got an airborne receiver. He's beyond the line to gain or the goal line. He possesses the ball. He gets hit by a defender, gets knocked back behind the line to gain or the goal line, and he continues to possess the ball through this whole process. We are going to give him forward progress to where he possessed the ball. Now, if he's fumbling the ball, we don't give him forward progress. He has to possess it. But in this case, if you look at this simplified and illustrated example, it's exactly what the question's asking. Airborne receiver number 5 possesses the ball beyond the plane of the B's goal line. The defensive contact forces number 5 out of the end zone, and the catch is completed in the field of play. Number 5 is given forward progress at the point of possession, and it is a touchdown. All right, I hope you understand that. Forward progress, so important to give an offensive player all the progress he deserves. So in this case, the answer is B, touchdown. Okay, question number 13. A game is being played in a pouring rainstorm, and the officials determine the field is unplayable and is hazardous to the players. The crew wants to suspend the game, and the visiting coach agrees, but the home coach does not agree. The game must continue. Okay, the rule reference is 3-1-5. When weather conditions are construed to be hazardous to life or limb of the participants, the crew of officials is authorized to delay or suspend the game. So that's pretty straightforward, right? And this particular case, they're talking about a rainstorm that's so hard that the field is unplayable. We have other guidelines for thunder and lightning that we will go over, but anytime that you feel that we have a hazardous condition, we want to err on the side of caution and suspend or delay the game. All right, so the answer to number 13 is B, false. All right, question number 14. At the coin toss, 3 minutes prior to the start of the game, 4 Team A members in game uniform and 1 team member Team A member on crutches in jeans and a t-shirt is present at the coin toss. Other Team A members in the in-game uniform are on the sideline. Okay, so this goes to the rule 322. It says at the coin toss or simulated coin toss conducted 3 minutes prior to the scheduled start time, no more than 4 team members in game uniform, they're the captains, from each team may be present at the coin toss. And only one from each team shall be designated as its spokesman. All other team members in game uniform must remain outside of the field of play. So this, remember, we got 4 captains, 4 max, and I don't care if you're doing a Pop Warner game or the modern day Servite game. 4 members in uniform come out for that coin toss. Now, this additional team member who is not wearing a game uniform on crutches, he is allowed to be there. Now, if this kid came out and he's got a game jersey on, in my interpretation, I'm going to let him stay there and I'm going to let him participate in the coin toss. This is his only participation in the game. He's probably a significant player that's been hurt. Let's not cause problems where we don't need to cause them. All right. So the answer to this question is A, legal. All right. Question number 15. Team A breaks the huddle. Get these marks out of here. Team A breaks the huddle with 12 players, and the replaced player begins to leave the field 2 seconds later. So they break the huddle with 12, and then the player being replaced leaves within 2 seconds. Legal or illegal? So if we go to the rule reference, which 371, it's right here. Between downs, any number of eligible substitutes may replace players upon meeting the criteria of 232.12. Replaced players shall begin to leave the field within 3 seconds. So this will happen occasionally where a player comes in late. The replaced player doesn't realize he's being replaced. They break the huddle, and then he's told to get off, and he runs off the field. The coaches on the defensive side are screaming, "Hey, they broke the huddle with 12." In some other codes, that is illegal. It's not in high school. And this 3 second thing, guys, again, don't get too fine. If if there's a little confusion, especially at the lower levels, and he gets off, don't be counting down 3 seconds. Just let it go. We don't want to enforce this penalty simply because there's some confusion. Now, if they come to the line of scrimmage, if they come into formation with 12, yes, definitely throw the flag, kill the play before the snap, and enforce a 5-yard illegal substitution foul. Okay, so the answer to 15 is A, that is legal. Okay, question number 16. K 4th and 5 at the K5. During K's legal scrimmage kick, K69 holds R14 at the K30. So we've got a kicking team member holding a receiving team member at the K30. The kick is caught by R22 at the K40 and returned for a touchdown. Team R may have the penalty enforced on the try or the kickoff. These rules references 6-2 just defines what types of kicks, what kicks are, what scrimmage kick is, and you don't need to really look at that right now. 823 is very important. let's take a look at that. Now, the reason that this question is here, and the reason that the reason the question is here is because in most cases, if the opponent of a team that scores commits a foul, the penalty for that foul can be enforced on either the try or the kickoff. This is one of the exceptions. So let's take a look at the rule. If an opponent of the scoring team commits a foul other than unsportsmanlike conduct or non-player foul during a down in which a touchdown is scored, so far so good, and there was a change of possession, so we have a change of possession, right? And such foul occurs after the change of possession, the scoring team may accept the results of the play and choose enforcement of the penalty on the try or the subsequent kickoff. So, note the foul would have had to have occurred after the change of possession, and according to this description, it happened during the kick. So, the answer to this is false, but I don't want you to, especially you new guys, go away thinking that they either have to decline the penalty or they don't get the yardage. In most cases, when a foul occurs, except for unsportsmanlike and a non-player foul, it's enforced on the try and the kickoff. All right, and we will talk a lot about this over the training session. All right, so again, the answer is false, B. Okay, question number 17. A, 2nd and 7 at the A41. Team A is the home team. The down marker erroneously shows 3rd down during the down. A23 runs to the A45 where he is downed. The down marker now shows 4th down. After the ball is then snapped, A11 is tackled behind the line of scrimmage and the ball goes over to the visiting team on downs. Prior to the visiting team snapping the ball on its first down, the home head team coach points out the down error to the referee. It is too late to correct the down. The visiting team has possession. Okay, before we get into the rule, this is a major crew screw-up. Everyone on the crew is responsible for knowing what down it is. It doesn't matter what the down marker says. We keep track of the downs with our down indicator on our wrists, and we should recognize when the down marker is incorrect. Okay, let's take a look at the rule. 5.1b says the referee shall have the authority to correct the number of the next down prior to the ball becoming live after a new series of downs is awarded and prior to the declaration of the end of any period. So, the answer to this is false. It's not too late to correct it because the ball has not become live. What is a live ball? Well, let's take a look at the definitions, right? Love our definitions. And it's the first one. Yay. Try that again. A live ball is a ball in play. A ball becomes live when the ball has been legally snapped or free kicked and a down is in progress. So, live ball, the ball would have had to have been snapped. So, had the defensive team, which is now the offensive team, snapped the ball, now it's too late. But prior to that ball becoming live, we can correct it. So the answer here is false. But guys, don't ever let this happen. All right. Question number 18. K, 4th and 5 at the K5. During K's legal scrimmage kick, K holds R14 at the K10. So the kicking team holding the receiving team at their 10-yard line. The kick is caught by R22 at the K40. So the end of the kick is the K40. And returned to the K35 where R22 fumbles. R45 recovers. So R fumbled, R recovers at the K30. R may have the penalty enforced from the K30. Now, this gets deeply into enforcement spots. And basically, we have two types of plays. We have running plays and we have loose ball plays. And so the enforcement spot is also referred to as the basic spot. So the basic spot is the previous spot for a foul which occurs simultaneously with the snap or free kick, a foul which occurs during a loose ball play, and a loose ball play is a free kick or scrimmage kick, a legal forward pass, backward pass, blah, blah, blah. Okay, you can read that yourself. So we have a loose ball play, and the previous spot is the basic spot is the previous spot, which in this case was the K5. So we would go half the distance to the goal line if we were going to enforce from the previous spot. But the rule was changed a couple years ago, and there's now an exception. The basic spot may, at the option of the offended team, be the succeeding spot for fouls by K during a free or scrimmage kick down, other than kick catching interference, prior to the end of the kick, when K will not be the next to put the ball in play. I know that's really confusing. Basically what it's saying is that if K fouls and R ends up with the ball, then we can enforce the foul from the succeeding spot, which in this case is where the ball was recovered. Okay, so the answer to question number 18 is true. R may have the penalty enforced from the K30. All right, let's move on. Okay, question number 19. Quarterback A4 has 1 foot in the air beyond the plane of the neutral zone when he releases the ball on a forward pass. Legal or illegal? So if we go to 751, it is a legal forward pass if during a scrimmage down and before team possession is changed, a player of A throws the ball with both feet of the passer in or behind the neutral zone when the ball is released. Only 1 forward pass may be thrown during the down. So, technically, this is an illegal forward pass. And as you can see, 752 defines an illegal forward pass. Illegal forward pass is a foul. An illegal forward pass includes a pass from beyond the neutral zone. All right. I'm not a fan of this question because it's very difficult to tell when the foot has crossed the neutral zone plane and the ball has been released. So what I'm saying to you guys is don't be too fine. Be absolutely sure that part of the quarterback's body is beyond the neutral zone and the ball has not been released before you rule illegal forward pass. Okay, but for the purposes of the test, the answer is B, illegal. Okay, question number 20. A, 4th and 3 at the A24. A6 completes a legal forward pass to A88 at the A39 near the A sideline. So we've got a first down, right? Where 88 is immediately downed. During the pass, B45 grabs and restricts A15 at the A27 near the B sideline. So, what do we got? Is this a legal play? Is it DPI by B45? Or is it a holding foul by B45? So, we've got the rule reference is 7511C. It is not forward pass interference if contact by B is obviously away from the direction of the pass. Okay, so that's a good philosophical thing to take on. If we see PI and it has no effect on the play, we are not going to call it. Now, we can call holding, but it better be big. It better be a major restriction. If it's just a little grab, and it's away from the play, let it go. But if it's a major restriction, this sounds like it is, we could call holding, right? But where's the enforcement spot? This is a loose ball play. So the enforcement spot would be at the A24, and 10 yards for holding, that would put it at the A34. The pass was completed at the A39. A's just going to decline the penalty, right? But we still have a holding foul, so per the test, the answer is C, holding foul by B45.